Today I'm going to teach you how to can peaches. I love peaches. These are my favorite type of peaches. This is called the O. Henry and this is the Alberta. And I usually buy 2 boxes, or actually I buy 3 boxes of peaches every year, and I can 1 box. We eat the other box because they're so sweet. These are the best peaches to eat. They're super sweet and I love them. And these are the ones I use for canning, just because they're super easy to work with, and they're just super easy to work with. That's it. That really is just it, because they're so easy to work with. These are a little sweeter than these, but they both taste really good. These are great for desserts, for smoothies, and anything that you want to use peaches in. So today I'm going to teach you how to can them. I usually, like I said, we usually eat one of my boxes, and the other one I usually cut it in slices and I freeze them, just for smoothies or whatever it is that we want to use peaches in. And then the other one that I can, the Alberta ones, those are really great for canning them. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. So let's get started. Hello. First thing I always do is I clean my kitchen. I make sure my kitchen is tidy, because sometimes it gets very overwhelming. Canning is super easy. It's so easy. But it does take a little bit of time. And if you're trying to cook your dinner for the night and can at the same time, it can be a little overwhelming because you're doing two major things at a time. So what I do, it has happened to me before. That's why I'm saying this. One time I started cooking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get to my peaches, because they're going to start going bad. And I was so frustrated that I'm like, I'm just going to get both of these things done at the same time. And it was chaos. I was frustrated. I was tired. And I did not want to can anymore. And I did not even want to feed my family anymore that day. So if you have a lot of space in your kitchen, then that's great. Maybe you can do 2 things at the same time. But if you don't, then I suggest make sure your kitchen is nice and tidy, so that you can work. So the first thing I do is I sterilize my jars. I do this in two different ways, depending on if my jars are clean or not. If my jars aren't clean and I'm just putting my dishes from the sink to the dishwasher, that's perfect. You rinse them and you put them straight in the dishwasher. And after they process for that hour or 2 hours, whatever time it is that your dishwasher runs, and you just let it run. At the end of the cycle, they're going to be clean and sterilized, and you can just use them right off the bat. You don't need to do anything else. But if your jars are already clean, my jars are usually in my cover right there, right behind me, right here. And I know I've already used a lot of them, but and I know that they're super clean. But I don't want to run them in the dishwasher, so I just go over to my sink and I fill it up with water, with hot water, and I soak them there for a little while. Here, I'll show you. This is what they look like. You see all my jars that are being ready to use, along with the rims that go on top, and also the lids that are going to go in there. You can see them in there. You leave them in there until you're ready to use them. So the next step is blanching. Blanching is so important. You blanch so that you can take the skin off for 2 reasons. One, the taste will be so much better when you open your jar after months of being canned. And the color is going to look beautiful, just as the day you canned them. So blanching is so important. Let me teach you how to do that. You can see that my pots are ready to go here. They're filled with water. Heat level is to the max. Water is boiling hot. So you can put your product in and start the blanching process. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is bring all your peaches over to the sink. I brought mine already. And you're going to wash all of your peaches, okay? Cold water, just either rinse them or you can hold them one by one and wash them. I can't hold them one by one right now because I'm holding the camera, but I will wash individually, all of them, just because I am canning these in their own juice. I am not using any sugar because I have a thing with sugar. We do eat sugar in our home once in a while, but I try to stay away from it. You can do whatever you like. There's ways to can them with sugar, or with other things, even honey or agave syrup. I've heard. I've never done them like that. I've done them with the sugar, and yeah, of course, it tastes delicious after. But we're trying to stay away from sugar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash these very, very good because I'm going to use the juice that I am gonna blanch them in to fill up the jars. So I want that juice to be nice and clean, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, after you wash them, you want to grab your peaches and you want to come or grab a knife and you want to cut an X at the bottom of the peach. So you cut an X at the bottom of the peach. Now, why are you doing this? You're cutting an X at the bottom of the peach so that when it's time to blanch them in the hot pot, then you can get them out and you can easily peel it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's the skin is completely off. Sometimes it comes right off. These are nice and firm right now. They're not too ripe. When they're too ripe, oh, it's a pain in the butt to take the skin off. So you don't wanna start the process of your peaches when they're super soft. You want them a little firm. Okay, so I'm going to do all of my peaches, clean them all out, blanch them, and then I'll show you how to peel them. After a few minutes of washing the peaches, you can see here they are ready to be blanched. Okay, so the next step is blanching your peaches. The first thing you want to do is you want to have a pot with boiling hot water. You can see in the back I already washed my peaches. They're ready to go. I've cut them as well with the X on the top, and they're ready to go into the hot boiling water. You can see it boiling right there. You put them in there for about 30 seconds and then you scoop them out. I use this to scoop them out, and sometimes I use this one just to kind of hold it so they won't fall, and I put them in a container and then I just dump them in cold water with ice. The process of blanching is hot to cold so that the skin can come right off, and let me show you how I do that. Okay, so I have 30 seconds on my clock and I'm about to dump them inside the hot boiling water. You want to do this very carefully. I'm going to set my camera over here and kind of put it. I can do it safely. I want to get burned. So I usually put them in here on my spoon and I put them one by one and then I count 30 seconds. And I just wait, or I can keep adding, not to the pot, but like adding a little pile of the ones that are already cut. If I haven't cut them yet, I can cut them and just wait for these to be done. So as soon as these are done, these are about to hit 10 seconds, and I start scooping them out because when I put them in, it took a little bit there. It took a little bit for them to be in there. You can kind of see. So you want to, here, I'll show you. You can kind of see on this one how the skin is already lifting. See? Okay, so you want to put them in the cold water now. Okay, so I put my peaches in the cold water. Let's see what happened. They are already lifting, so see how easily that comes out? You can just use your hands and one little move and look, it all came out. So I put this on the side just because I don't want to have a big mess in the sink. So these are, look how beautiful they are. They're just perfect. I love them. If you missed a spot, you can quickly take it off. See? And then I just put them in another container and then just leave them there for a minute so that I can do all of them. And then I just cut all of them and then put them in the jars. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with this one. That was so fast and easy. These are my favorite peaches to can. The skin comes right off. These are the Albertas. The O. Henrys are a pain in the butt, but they taste so good that I just like to eat those. But canning, these are perfect for canning. All right, so I'm gonna take care of all of them and then I'll come back and show you what I do next. After taking the skin off the peaches, they are ready to be sliced and packed in the jars. Remember to remove the pits. Okay, so the next step is to pack your peaches into the jars, and you need to be very careful with this. Canning your peaches in your jars is so important to keep an eye on making sure that your jars are nice and hot. If your jars aren't nice and hot, and let's say you had to leave for a few seconds, for a few minutes, and then you came back and the water wasn't hot anymore when you had them in the sink, then you put your peaches in there and you add the hot water and everything. You put them in the canner and your jars can pop, which is what happened to me. I left to pick up my son from kindergarten, and I was trying to hurry to get back to the video, and I put my jar in and it popped. So you need to be super careful with making sure your jars are nice and hot when you put them in the canner. What I did is I threw the whole thing away. So I wasted a whole jar, about 4 peaches. I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want any particles of the glass to be in my peaches, so I just threw the whole thing away. My jars were not as hot anymore when I left and came back. I'm draining the water from the jars, from the sink, and there you go. You can see it. It's almost drained, and I'm adding more hot water in there. And my water here gets really, really, really hot, so I don't have to boil it or anything. This water gets really, really hot. I can't even touch it. Right now it's not that hot, but it's getting there. Okay, so make sure your jars are really hot, not room temperature. Make sure they're really hot so that you won't go through the trouble that I just went through while you were processing your cans. I actually packed 2 of them already. You can see them right here, and I will show you how to pack them and what to do next. So I'm taking the pits out and I'm cutting them. You can see them all nice and cut. And then I'm going to pack the jars, and I will show you once I finish cutting all of these. So I cut all the peaches. They're all nice and cut in here. I don't want to drop them. They're nice and cut. So now the next step is to get your jars out very carefully. Dump the water. They're nice and hot. You put this little thing, I don't know what it's called, but it's a little thing that helps the jar stay clean. And then you just start putting your peaches in there. Like I said, you can do either light syrup, heavy syrup, or no syrup, just in water. For this one, I'm going to do light syrup. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. You want to use this little tool to push them down a little bit. And I think we have space for 1 more. So I'm just going to blanch a few more for the mix jar. 30 seconds. My microwave always helps me with keeping track of the seconds. So I'm gonna grab 1 teaspoon of sugar, just regular white sugar, and just pour it in there. And then I'm just going to start adding the hot water from the pot that's blanching. The other ones. Okay, 30 seconds are up. And I'm just gonna add this one so that the jar can stay nice and hot. And time to get the other ones out. I need to hurry so that I can cut the peach that I still need to pack in there, just so that I can fill up that jar. Okay, so these are done. I'm gonna dump them in the cold water now. And I'm gonna continue packing some more, so I'm gonna add some more peaches in here. I usually do like 4 or 5 at a time, just so that I can have enough for each jar. Each jar usually takes about 4 to 5 peaches. If the peaches are huge, then it'll probably take 4. You might not need more than 4. But if they're not that big, these are regular size. Maybe the size of a baseball. And that one jar needed 1 more, so let me peel these 4. This one is a little more challenging to take the skin off, so it took me a little longer. And I didn't start the timer on these. So I'm sure 30 minutes is up. Okay. Time to put these in cold water. All right, so I'm gonna hurry and pack this one in. I chop it, dump it inside. The sugar's already in there, 1 teaspoon. I ended up putting the whole peach in there. And I pack it with the hot water. So be very careful on this one, because the water is really hot, boiling. And you want to fill it up all the way to the rim right here. Make sure that you use this little tool to put it in through the sides and let any air that's trapped inside come out. I usually do the 4 sides. And then what I do, I take this out. You grab a napkin or a rag, whatever it is that you have handy, and you wipe the top of the jar like this. Make sure that you wipe it really good. Otherwise, if you put the lid on and you process this, you can, if you don't clean it, food will get trapped there, and you can create bacteria in here that will eventually poison your family, and you don't want to do that. It's called botulism. Botulism is terrible because it can kill you. So you need to be careful with that. You need to make sure that you clean it really good. There's no food around the top of the jar. And make sure that when you put the seal on, you're sure that it's clean. So I usually grab the seals with these little tools. It's a magnet and it just grabs the seal. You want to leave this in hot water because this area right here around it, it gets soft, and when you take it out of the hot water, this is soft, and when you place it on the jar, and when the jar is processing, and you get it out and it's sitting on your counter, it will create pressure and suck everything in, and that's what's making your jar be sealed. So this is the sealing part of the jar, okay, of your work. I'm not gonna put it quite yet because I'm not going to process them yet. I just wanted to show you. So what I do while I wait for the other jars, I open my big counter and I just place them. You can lower this or you can leave it up. I usually leave it up until I'm ready to process them. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want this jar to get cold, I just place them in open so that it can stay warm. Once I process them, then I bring all my jars. I'm sorry, not the jars. I bring all my lids and the rings and I close them and then I put them all in. You will see, I will show you. But just put them in there just so that you can have enough time to work with the other jars and these don't get cold. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for all the other peaches and I will show you how to lower them and how to process them. Okay, it's time to process them. I finished putting all the peaches in the jars. As you can see, look, they look so beautiful. I love them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal them off. I'm going to put the seal on top and the rings, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so you need a magnet holder because you want to grab your lid. Remember what I said, they need to be hot so that they can seal properly. And you want to bring it over here. You're going to place it on your jar. I already cleaned all the top parts. I do that before I place them in the canner. So I wipe, remember what I said, wipe the top part to avoid botulism, and then place your lid, and then you want to do the same thing with your ring. Your rings, you close it. Just finger tight. You don't wanna do it super tight, just finger tight. Okay? I'm gonna do the same thing with all of them, and then I'm going to lower them, and you will have to make sure that is above 1 inch, that the water is an inch above your jar. So when you place your lids, when you place all your lids and you lower this, you measure it and the water has to be above at least an inch. Okay? And you process them depending on the area where you live. I live in Idaho, and so the altitude is about 6,000 feet here, and I process my jars at either 35 to 40 minutes, and that's about the amount of time that I need to let them process. Okay, so depending on the state that you live in, you have to look that up to where you live and what's the altitude on your state. Okay, so I'm going to put all the lids and then I'll lower them, and I'll show you how I lower them. To finish off, my jars are completely done. They're still in the canner. I'm going to use this tool to get them out. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to carefully hold it with this right here, and then I'm just going to walk it over to the other side and let them cool off. Okay, I'm gonna do that for all the jars and then I'll show you how they look at the end. Thanks for learning how to can peaches with me today. As you can see, we got several jars from the batch of peaches that we did today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.